Welcome back. We continue our panel discussions this morning with a group of students who represent a wide cross-section of academic majors and campus activities. Joining us today, first and foremost here, is Kendall Newson, a Columbus native. He's also a senior majoring in psychology. He's a recipient of the country's barbecue scholarship, and he focuses his efforts through programs in the university's Center for Accommodation and Access. Outside of his studies, he's a registered behavioral therapist for Proud Moments ABA here in Columbus. To his right is our current two-term SGA president, Curtis Walker, who's a familiar face to most of us here at Columbus State. A senior majoring in English and minoring in political science, Curtis is both a Columbus native and a first-generation college student who focuses much of his energies at CSU, outside SGA, of course, on activities in the Center for Servant Leadership. In the middle is Amani Arnold, a senior pre-med biology major from Loganville, Georgia. Amani was crowned our 2021 homecoming queen last October, is a women's basketball and track and field student athlete, and an active member of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee in Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. She began her studies at Columbus State last fall after transferring from the University of North Georgia. Bellum Gonzalez, a senior from Roswell, majoring in political science, is a first-generation college student as well, who has found her niche at Columbus State as a diversity peer educator with diversity programs and services, and as a brand ambassador with the Office of Admissions. Rounding out our panel this morning is Nico Moyer, originally hailing from Connecticut, who served 6 years in the U.S. Army 75th Ranger Regiment before beginning his graduate studies here at Columbus State. He is pursuing a Master's of Science in Organizational Leadership with a focus on leadership development, and applies what he's learning as a grad assistant with the Leadership Institute, as well as maintaining his own coaching business as a professional certified coach. So thank you all for being with us this morning. We'll start our questions here. How about with Kendall, and we'll open this up for everybody who wants to jump in. Who or what brought you to Columbus State?
Miss Janine Wirt, a professor in the kinesiology department. She was one of my biggest influences. She's a host capability. She's been in my life probably about 10, going on 11 years now. Mm-hmm. So she was the biggest inspiration that really had me come to Columbus, and that I'm still here.
All right, wonderful. Anybody else want to add their own personal perspective?
I'll just say military brought me here to Columbus, but I think the community is what brought me specifically to Columbus State University in terms of continuing education. The military enrollment office was a big part in getting me connected with that as well. So military brought me here, and then the community is what kept me here for sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Amani, I know you transferred here. I'm sure athletics played a little bit to do with that, but what brought you to Columbus State?
What brought me to Columbus State was my major, fraternity and sorority life, and then also athletics. I would also say that I visited a few times with some of my friends, and I just really loved it. And so they always joked around and said that I'd end up here, and then it actually happened. So,
well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. Curtis or Bellum, y'all want to add anything?
Sure. I would say, being first generation, one of the things that kept in mind when I was going to apply to schools was affordability. But what really brought me here, I would say, would be Dr. Holt. During Discovery Day, we were talking about what happens after college, and he was the one who just spoke directly to me, and he was telling me about things within the political science field, things within law that his students have accomplished, have succeeded in. And I think based on what he was telling me, it just sounded too good to be true. And so that's what kept me here, and I'm actually seeing that now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Bellum, did you have?
Yes. So what brought me here was how welcoming it was. As a first generation student, my parents didn't go to college, so I didn't know how to do my financial aid, how to fill up a college application. So the college with the admissions office actually really helped me a lot. Out of all the colleges that I applied to, they're the ones that guided me a lot, and it made me feel very welcomed here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. We'll stay along the theme, switch gears just a little bit. Curtis, I'll start with you. Who or what inspired you to go into your current field of study?
I would say my AP Gov teacher. He was back in high school, and originally I wanted to be a doctor. I realized after I took chemistry that was never going to happen, but did a career switch to more so focusing on law, and he's really the one who inspired me to go in that direction. He realized I like to argue a lot, or I like to debate, as he would say, and he said that would be a perfect career field for me. And so working with him and working on different small portions of like volunteer on campaigns during my high school experiences have really led me to where I am now.
Great. Anyone else want to jump in on how you found your major? Nico.
So I actually did a post-bac degree here as well, just before I started grad school. And Dr. Hurt, I took leadership with him. And probably within 2 weeks, I started emailing people in the business school and was like, okay, how do I get into grad school? How do I incorporate leadership? And that really sparked the flame that has continued to push me into the field of leadership specifically. And Dr. Hurt opening up that leadership textbook really did it for me. And I recommend that class for everybody in and out of business school. I just think it's a phenomenal course, and the block of instruction was great. And it sucked me right in, and I'm stuck here now.
Yeah. Well, great. Anybody? Nama, did you? I don't know if you're raising your
Oh.
microphone or trying to get out of the way.
Well, in kindergarten, I guess I wanted to be a princess. So I've moved past that. Now I want to go into the medical field. I want to be doing orthopedic surgery. And I guess what really drew me to that was when I got my first injury, a major injury. And the doctor was just there for me always and comforting me. And then seeing the experience with shadowing is just something I know I want to go into.
Wonderful.
So I'm majoring in political science and hope to go to law school one day and become an immigration lawyer. So what brought me to this field of study is my community. I live in Atlanta, so there's a lot of immigrants, a lot of undocumented people. So my main story is that has motivated me is my dad's arrest. My dad got arrested in 2011. It was when Georgia had proposed the HB 87 bill, which is an anti-immigration bill. And around the time during his arrest, I was with him. And it was like the whole family separation, and I don't want more families to go through that. So that's what pushed me towards this field.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Let's stick with you on this next question if we can. What one class, program, or experience here at Columbus State has defined your CSU experience, and why?
It definitely has to be diversity programs and services. They have allowed me to share my culture with everyone on campus. I have done a Hispanic Heritage Month events for the past 2 years. And I have also done the imposter syndrome event, which helped raise awareness because a lot of college students, especially first generation college students, go through that.
Yeah, great. Anyone else have a singular kind of experience or program that's really kind of defined their time here as a student?
Well, I think from transferring universities and not knowing what I'm walking into, because sometimes people say the grass isn't greener, but the grass has been greener for me. But my first experience that I remember was Dr. Monica Frazier made me feel felt in her class, and that kind of drew me back to like loving school and wanting to learn more again. So I really appreciate that experience, and so it's helped me be here and confident. So
yeah. Well, let's stick with that topic, and I'll kind of throw this out to the group. It sounds like relationships are definitely important. A lot of you have talked about an individual who has kind of connected with you, the high school, college life, or whatnot. Who is a mentor during some time of your life who you want to emulate in your career, and why? Curtis?
I'm sorry. I'll say someone I definitely want to emulate in my future career would be Dr. Reese. He used to work for CSU. He's currently being loaned out with USG right now. And I worked with him with SGA. He was originally my first SGA advisor when I stepped into the role as SGA president. And honestly, just seeing him work, his work ethic, how much he cared about the students, how much he cared about making sure that I was heard, guiding me through my steps, and then just see him doing his job too. And while he has a lot of things on his plate, he always made sure he had time for each person. And that's definitely something I want to see myself do in the future as well.
Great. Thank you. Any other mentors jump out, Kendall?
Yeah, again, I have to mention Dr. Janine Wirt in the kinesiology department. She has been a very inspirational person. She's enthusiastic and prideful about everything she does. She works with kids who have visual impairments, and she makes sure they feel felt wherever they go. They make sure they feel welcomed from all over Georgia and all over. She'll do anything for them. So she has been somebody I want to emulate.
Mhm.
I want to copy her style. I want to be just like her when I. Yeah.
Anyone else? Nico?
Yeah, I will go. It's actually my current boss. So Courtney Wilson, there's very few people whose calendars are as hectic, but also as organized as mine. And somehow she does it. And just seeing, challenging the process and opening these doors and doing research and seeing somebody whose life is as hectic as mine, but also seeing them outwardly control that and set things up and mitigate the issues that can arise, and witnessing that has been an awesome experience for me so far. But honestly, it's really hard at CSU to pick one person. I think all of us, after you've taken 5 classes, you've got a handful of teachers and instructors and faculty and staff across the spectrum who already you're looking up to them, whether it's for the whole or for parts of the whole, and saying, wow, I want to implement that. Ooh, I want to take that and improve on it. So it's really difficult to narrow it down to one person, but mine would be Courtney Wilson for sure.
It's a great response. Thank you. Anyone else? Bellum, Monty, anybody?
I would have to say John A. Roberts from Diversity Programs and Services. She has helped me a lot and has had a lot of pages with me as well. She has helped me a lot with my resume, my cover letters, learning how to public speak. Like, I'm a very shy person, and honestly, she has helped me a lot.
Great. We asked the faculty in the last session about our creative to the core identity. Kind of what does that mean? How have they seen that realized through some of their work? So I kind of pose the same question to you. What do you think being creative to the core means here at Columbus State? And what's an example of perhaps you've been able to kind of realize that through academics, through student life, through career services or whatnot? I'll throw that out for anyone to pick up. Monty?
Well, yeah, so creative to the core, I'll start with the core. And I feel that the core of CSU is its students. And so the creative part, I feel that if you're pouring in to your core, then everyone's going to be able to flourish and be themselves. And something that I've recently seen, one of my friends was on the men's basketball team. He kind of passed away recently. Well, not kind of, but the athletics department really made sure that they were there for everyone. And so through that time, we were able to be strong together. And so I think that that's what the core of CSU is. And we're all trying to be here together to grow. And so
it's interesting, and from the marketing perspective, we've always put the emphasis on creative, but I kind of like the twist and looking at what the core of Columbus State really is. So got my wheels turning now. Nico?
Yeah, and I think just looking at the last 2 years, just reach in the bucket and grab something, it's going to be creative. We've had multiple semesters that are going to start out one way, end up another. We've got times throughout the semester that things are changing, and we've been able to pull people or appoint people to these kind of committees and groups to help disseminate information the best we can and make decisions. And somehow we've done it. And even, 2 weeks ago, we got emails, hey, would y'all be willing to participate? Absolutely. Let us know. How can we help? And then, like you said, throughout just this last weekend, okay, how do we reorganize? How do we reconsolidate? Things are changing. And having the ability to be creative, not just at the faculty, staff, and infrastructure level, but for students to be able to have some input and also spark new ideas. And then for that to be utilized by the university is amazing. We have students who have created apps, who I own a business, and I know many other students who also own their own LLCs, and seeing the creativity, not just on campus, but how those branches off throughout Columbus and beyond, I think is amazing. And again, you're one quick throw away from finding that creative idea or that creative spark that's being offered by a student or a faculty at any level within the system. And I think that's been the core of the creativeness there, if you will.
Yeah. Great observations. Anyone else?
I think Nico did a great job at explaining that. But just to add on to it, I guess to look at the campus itself, I think the way I take creative to the core is really just making the most of your college experience. And I think based off of that, I always think back to how I got more involved in CSU, or how other students can get involved in CSU, and then really finding yourself, creating your own story.
Mhm.
I don't think when I first came to CSU, I never really planned on being an SGA president, but that's where I fell into, and that's where I really see myself thrive. And that's where I've seen so many opportunities coming up where you could actually, do your own business or have your own LLC or making connections with professors and other faculty members to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the most important thing with our motto, which is we'll create to the core, is just making sure that each student has the ability to thrive and to I guess explore different avenues of themselves. So that way, by the time they graduate, there is that future for them that they can see themselves in.
Great, great. So, Amani, I'm going to ask you to start off with this next question. Dr. Markwood was talking very earlier about the story of higher education, the value of a college degree, sometimes the misperceptions of that story. What would be some misperceptions that you feel like we could clear up or need to clear up about the college experience? Maybe something specifically at Columbus State with either your classmates, with prospective students or whatnot.
Well, I feel that college is invaluable, but I do think that you do have to put a price on it because people do have to take out student loans. But this college degree that I'm getting, I feel that it's really beneficial to me and it's what I need. And I feel like there's so many other students who don't realize the quality of the degree that I'm getting here for the price. And so I think that's something that prospective students should understand, that wherever you do go, you should go where it's family oriented and where you can, if you're going to save money, but get the same quality.
Sure, sure. Great. Anyone else? Something, Nick?
I totally agree. I think that state schools almost always have a misconception for a lot of students. A lot of students, they hear some big name or they like some sport and they think, oh, I need to go to that big college. And even then, the motivation is not the academics. And I graduated from a state school 10 years ago up in Connecticut, and now I'm here and I have loved both experiences. But I think onto that misconception, it's that you're going to get what you put in. And that's not just for the sake of classes, but that's everything outside of that. Most of the people that many of us surround ourselves with are not just a 4.0 student or a great student. It's, hey, they have a 3.3, but they also have all these other things that they're involved with and all these other amazing things they're doing in community. And that whole pie is what I want and what I'm looking for. And I have found that at CSU. And I think most of us have, which is why we're happily and excitedly willing to sit up here and talk more about CSU. So don't get caught up in state schools or big schools or rivalries. Look at the college, look at Columbus State, look at this community, and that's the only answer you need. It's a great space to be, it's a great space to learn, and it's an incredible environment to grow in.
Great, thank you. Anyone else have? Curtis, and then we'll come to Kendall.
I would say that we have a lot of opportunities here that a lot of students unfortunately just don't take advantage of. And I think that's the perception I'm always constantly fighting whenever I'm in SGA is internships are definitely there. Job opportunities are definitely there. And I would definitely love to see more people taking advantage of those, because I will say as it's not slim pickings, it's not as hard as it seems to be. And I think being an English major, the funny thing is Dr. Livingston will always send out an email saying, hey, we have these scholarships, but don't be intimidated by the process because it's a lot easier than you think it is.
Great. Kendall?
A lot of people come to college and they think, oh, it's just a secondary education that'll make your paycheck a little bit bigger. But in reality, it really builds you as a person. It brings you into the community. It brings you with friends and everything. It really develops you and sets you forth so you can succeed in the future. A lot of people don't take that from that. Like Curtis said, you gotta, get involved. The more you get involved, the more you can connect and just become your true self.
Great. Well, thank you. Another question here I'll just kind of throw out for the group. What has Columbus State done well to keep you motivated, engaged, or focused on your professional goals?
Yeah, for me, again, super biased to the business school. That's where I've been the whole time. Every class I've ever had has been in that same building. And now I do have more experience with servant leadership. But I think it's connecting the opportunities within the community back to what we're studying. Again, super biased and I don't want to say closed-minded, but limited to my scope in the business department. But you constantly are getting synovus and thesis and all these different internship opportunities and future job postings and speakers coming in. And it's right after the class that you sit in and learn about this CFO or CEO or this accounting method that happens. So I think just bringing everything together into a central location, knowing that we're going to be decentralized the rest of the time, has been something that we've done a really good job with in my experience thus far.
I completely agree with what Nico said. A lot of the classes I've enjoyed the most are the ones that do involve the community or something outside the classroom for the most part. I hate to do this. Could you please repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. What has Columbus State done well to keep you motivated, engaged, or focused on your professional goals?
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But yes, with what Nico said, but also I think just keeping me focused on graduating is the main thing. I think that's something that every professor with every class I take, regardless of how hard it is, I think the difficulty reminds me push through, graduate. The ease reminds me I have to take some time for myself to also just focus on graduating. But I will also say, Nico mentioned it earlier, but Courtney Wilson, I think, is someone who also really helped me too. Whenever I went through my hardships, I think there are definitely professors like her who have reached out to me or have noticed a change in me, and they're saying like, "Hey, how's it going? How are you doing? How can we help you?" And I think that also helps me to really focus on graduation.
Yeah. Wonderful. Anyone else have anything to add?
I would have to say the political science department. They have helped me a lot. There was so many times where I just wanted to give up, and they have helped me a lot with everything that I have questions about. Some units that I'm really struggling in, and I was able. Some of my professors have also offered internships for me, so that has helped me keep going.
Great. And Bella, we'll close out with this question with you, and everyone else can jump in. It's been 10 years since you've graduated from Columbus State. On your first visit back to campus, the first place you visit or the first person you seek out is what or who and why?
I will have to go to the Diversity Programs and Services office. Like I said, John A., Imani, Treasurer, they have all helped me a lot career-wise, learning how to build a resume, a cover letter, and also like personal problems. They have always been there for me. They have been very understanding and very patient with me because it was such a struggle for them to push me to speak in front of people, and without them I wouldn't even be here because I am very shy.
Well, we're glad they gave you that support. Yes, Kendall.
I would have to see the Center of Accommodation and Access. Everyone in the office, from Lauren Jones, who just left last spring, everyone has been a big help and real inspiration in my life. So I would definitely have to come see them after 10 years.
Great. Curtis?
I would definitely say SGA. I have to go to the SGA office.
Well, you'll still be SGA president in 10 years.
Well, we're going to focus on graduation, and hopefully not. But I would have to. I won't know anybody there, of course. But it's always great whenever we have other SGA presidents, former SGA presidents coming back, and then I get to tell them about what I've done and what's been changing over the years, and just seeing how, from one leader to the next, you've seen changes and advocated in different ways. And so I would definitely love to come back and see that.
Great.
Yeah.
Imani?
I'd probably go to the basketball court. I'd go in there, speak to Todd Reeser, probably catch up on a couple things, and just hopefully see that in 10 years, hopefully I'm in a position to donate and be an alumni that gives back to the school. So hopefully I can see where my money is going in that aspect as well.
And the expectation is that Todd will still be here 10 years from now.
Yes.
Nico, do you have anybody?
Yeah, I
Anything?
mean, I think I'd go to admissions first for a tour, because I will probably forget how to get around everywhere and who's still here. And then through that tour, I'll be able to see who's still working, who's still teaching, and kind of stop off. But absolutely, I would end up in the business school just to get reacquainted with a lot of those instructors. And then, of course, and I'm going to be in trouble for this again, but Courtney Wilson, I mean, there's so many students that I think would come back, and that's going to be at least a stopping point, if not the first, because the hey and peppy attitude right off the pop is just amazing. But then also just her work ethic and willingness to sit down and pause all that's going on for the people that are there in the moment and being present. That's the first thing I would want when I walk back on campus. So absolutely.
Great. Well, Nico, Bellum, Imani, Curtis, Kendall, thank you all so much for sharing your perspectives. You're not actually in school yet unless you're doing Jan term. I think one of you's doing Jan term. Oh, a couple. Okay, so you're really in school. So you've already here. The rest of you, thank you for letting us take you away from your readying for the spring semester to be part of this panel today. And we thank you for your perspectives. We're going to take another one of our commercial breaks. And next will be Dean Anise Yarber Allen, who will have a activity plan for us.